Did you see the new Apple release this month? Like many, I'm very excited about the new Headset Pro device given the fact that I am creating virtual healing spaces to be experienced in community. But here is the thing. After I listened to a recent podcast with Scott Galloway's, my perspective shifted a bit, and I'll share in short and you can find your own conclusion. Let's jump in, shall we? Scott shares these $3,500 ski goggles will be the company's first major commercial failure of the century. The device will age as well as candy cigarettes, and Tim Cook knows it. He's reportedly been skeptical of the product, and he never donned the device during the keynote or the hands-on session afterward. If you peer around enough corners, you'll start seeing things that aren't there. Headsets are a bad form factor, full stop, and no headset-based product will achieve mass adoption. The obstacles are seated deep in our DNA. We're highly discerning about what we put on our face, as it must enhance, not impair our ability to assert dominance, attract mates, and make connections. Jewelry signals wealth and strength. The $250 billion cosmetics industry helps us mimic visual cues for health and reproductive fertility. There is no version of a headset or goggles that makes us seem more appealing. None. Headsets obstruct our peripheral vision, exposing us to stalking predators. Also, they're uncomfortable. We are a long way from making 3 screens, a glass shield, and an array of supporting hardware light enough to wear for an extended period. Reviewers were, purposefully, allowed to wear the Vision Pro for less than half an hour, and nearly everyone said comfort was declining even then. The nosebleed price limits trial, even by influencers and institutions. Media companies and design schools aren't going to buy several of these. They won't be handed out at all hands or to the person who was closest to the pin at the company offsite. The price will come down, but even at $2,500, will this replace all your Apple products? That's still more than an iPhone, MacBook Air, Apple Watch, AirPods Pro, and 4 AirTags. This isn't spatial computing, it's spatial consumption. The Vision Pro was developed and approved for production in a different time. COVID meant a product designed to use alone at home was appealing. Knowledge workers were working at home, and a reasonable view, notably in Silicon Valley, was that this was the new normal. But society is recoiling from the isolation era. The dangers of isolation and loneliness have eclipsed the threat of viral contagion. The Surgeon General has declared an epidemic of loneliness. The Times reporter who tried the Vision Pro noted his visceral response upon returning to virtual isolation: "I could feel myself shutting down." Apple doesn't have to own the headset category to win the war against Meta, or even sell that many. The company just has to keep the category unsettled and splintered so Meta doesn't own it. It has the cash to play spoiler. It generates over $100 billion per year in free cash flow, more than enough to engage in a high-cost, low ROI arms race. 3 years ago, the Apple product people expected was the Apple Car. The car likely isn't dead, it just isn't the company's focus and won't be coming soon. But as bad as the timing was for a headset, it's that good for a car. The EV market is on fire, with unit sales expected to increase 36% in 2023. R/VR headset units declined 20% in 2022 and are expected to rise only modestly in 2023, and it's anyone's game. Tesla is vulnerable, its design getting stale and its CEO unwinding 280 characters at a time. The waiting list for an Apple Car announced this week would have been the most valuable asset ever created in the absence of the asset. It's not unrealistic to believe that Apple could entice 7% of EV buyers on day one. At a sticker price of $100,000, that's $100 billion. Think about this. In 24 hours, one of the largest revenue businesses in history could have illuminated a path to 30% revenue growth. That's the true cost of the Vision Pro. Scott's last comments were this: "I believe the Vision Pro will be remembered as a Neanderthal, an evolutionary dead end, a heavy, thick-browed experimental species destined for extinction." Admittedly, there's a bias here. I am troubled by the direction this and other tech platforms and products are taking us. COVID didn't cause social distancing, the tech industry did. I agree with Scott in that we are mammals, and mammals suffer when we are not in the physical presence of other mammals, whether you are an orca isolated in a tank, a dog left at home alone, or a consumer sequestered behind your latest expensive gadget. Real grief, rejection, joy, eroticism, victory, and love are experienced in the presence of others. Headsets render us nauseous, uncomfortable, and alone. Worse, they make us less human. In closing, I am still very excited about Apple's release as an AI and VR enthusiast. But like I noted, it's due to my core value and purpose-driven intent to creating healing immersive experiences in community settings. I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop in them in the comments. If you'd like to learn more about how I'm integrating technology in the new creative economy, you can head to Seed Your Success podcast or my blog on Substack.